A special good evening to the political leader of the Progressive Democratic Patriots, Mr. Watson Duke. It's always a pleasure to have you on. Pleasant good evening, comrade.
Pleasant good evening, my brother. How are
Yes.
you?
Well, they're fighting the fight. I guess that's how it is. We have to fight the fight.
Certainly.
A lot is going on. First of all, Carnival, Tobago. You were very boisterous about that. You made some comments. You believe that the product needs to be tweaked. It needs to be placed into the right hands. And it needs to be something to benefit the people of Tobago. And I want to start off one time with you without even sticking because I know you could handle it. Then you should have been in that position where to ensure that whatever mistakes or whatever that you see is going wrong now, that you should be there to correct it. What do you say when people tell you, listen, Watson, at the end of it all, it would have been better for you to be there to guide this thing accordingly, rather to be now on the other side talking about it? What say you?
I apologize. I apologize. That's the least I can do. The most I could do is nothing, say nothing. But I apologize. A sign of respect for what the person would be saying. A leader has to lead because a leader is the one who would espouse the vision and would lead persons to achieve the vision, which was to create a paradigm shift in the politics of Tobago, something we call a political revolution. We should have changed the status quo and create a new level of achievement for Tobagonians. So in the case of Carnival, Carnival is the biggest opportunity for a country to showcase its culture, its way of living, its way of speaking, its way of dressing, its way of socialization, its way of doing every single thing. That's what culture is, all right? Your indigenous way. And so when we speak of Tobago Carnival, which part of Tobago Carnival reminds us of Tobago? Apart from the scenery, the beaches, and the atmosphere, which part of it reminds you that you are in Tobago and not somewhere else? It's very difficult to tell because exactly what you see, the level of interactions, are the same level of interactions you are going to have in Trinidad.
And I would agree with you there, Mr. Duke, and I think that there's no way that we could disagree on that issue, and in fact that you have an opportunity to showcase the best that you have to offer,
right.
Not just hospitality, not just the landscape, but the fact that you have good service and you have people who have that visionary insight to put things in place that it can also be globally competitive. I think that is what matters most. What is going to make anybody in North America just jump up one day or start planning a month or a year ahead and say, listen, I need to be at Tobago Carnival. I must be. I need to be there. What's going to drive them to do that? And at this point in time, you were saying that the product that is being offered does not showcase or highlight the best of Tobago.
Right, well culture is something that sells. Culture, the way you cook, the way you speak, the way you do your drama. Hollywood is different from Nollywood. Nollywood is different from Hollywood. All of it are theaters where persons practice the art form of acting, but they have their own key distinctions. What happens in India, what happens in Africa, and what happens in America. People do things different. That is culture. Tobago and Trinidad have different cultures, and people are coming to see how has Carnival affected your culture in a way that we can celebrate with you. And part of that definitely involves Trinidadians, because Trinidadians have been practicing making masks for a very long time. They are very good at it. They have been practicing the art form of calypso music, steel bands, and all that type of stuff. What I'm saying, there ought to be a fusion between the experts in Trinidad and those who are learning in Tobago. Where are the mass bands? Where are the master calypsonians? Where are the master soca artists? How much persons are being trained in Tobago? How do we have that crossing of information and knowledge and tutoring? These are some of the things that should go into Tobago a long time before the carnival starts. And so when you come to Tobago now, you are seeing something that represents our culture, but it is polished and prepared that it can be accepted on an international level. You with me?
I agree with you 100%.
Right.
I agree with you. And again, that is going to motivate anybody to say, I need to be there, I need to get there.
Right.
Now, let's look at the budget as far as the allocations, and this stands out here. Now, the total allocation to the THA in the 2024 represents an increase of $64.2 million over the allocation of $2.521 billion in fiscal year 2023. Now, here's where it gets a little tricky. Beyond the budgetary allocation to the THA, an additional $608.5 million is allocated to various ministries and state agencies to undertake and execute major projects in Tobago in keeping with their responsibility under the 6th schedule of the THA Act 40 of 1996. Now, basically, people are saying, so is it that central government is just basically saying, listen, we have the right under this act to just come in there, put this money out there, and do these projects? For number one, the Tobago Airport Terminal project at a cost of $400 million is a foreign company. The Roxborough Fire Station headquarters at a cost of $1.9 million has already been built as far as we know, unless there's another one.
Yeah.
The silting of the Hillsborough Dam at a cost of $7.5 million, but that is still a bit kind of blurry. People are asking, what is that all about? I mean, when you look at these things, there has to be some element to stand up and say, listen, enough is enough. You simply cannot just come in here and ride over us and believe under the act that you can take us for granted or take advantage of a situation. What is missing here from all of this?
Well, first things first, let's understand that this is politics. This high-level politics, right? We're now entering into the last 2 years of governance before an election. And in the last 2 years, it's pretty dicey. So it's now a battle for turf. We have the PNM governing in Trinidad, and we have the PDP governing in Tobago. Despite we have these, my colleagues and the being own way and dissidents saying that they are independent and then they're something, and that's a different story. The PDP are the rightful executive of the THA at this point in time. And so the attitude of the leader of the THA is not one that allows for that peaceful level of governance at a higher level. It doesn't allow for that. You see, there's a way in which you can allow for that, and the way you allow for that is that you do not seek to make war with a prime minister who is a veteran in making war. You don't do that, especially when you have never fought a battle in your life. If you have never fought a battle in your life, you're now coming in, take your time, and do your job without reaching the level of acrimony with the Prime Minister. That's my first point. So therefore, because you took $300,000 based on the Prime Minister's utterance, the $300 million that was given for development in 2022, you took that,
right,
and you spent that, you allocate that money for big works in Tobago, well, road works, that would have gone back to Trinidadians, okay? That's what the Prime Minister said. All the money went back to Trinidad. Now, if you do that, you are strengthening persons who are not on the Prime Minister's side, right?
Right.
You with me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
And so therefore, in the next time around, the amount of money that goes to development budget is not $300 million again, but $260 million, a reduction of $40 million. And the Prime Minister now is spending more money to do development in Tobago under Schedule 6, which he has the right to do by law. And he's showing you that his budget is way more than your development budget. And so it's who has more confidence, more forward. When this election year comes up, and we're talking about who will call upon the people to provide them with money to campaign, the PNM will have their coffers full, because you know what will go naturally to be their contractors getting the work in Tobago, the PNM contractors, and my colleagues will try to give their people contracts. Where does the people of Tobago stand in all of this? They are lost. because they are not benefiting the way they should benefit. I'm saying, had I been there, what I would have done, I would have taken that $300 million given to me last year, and that money would have been spent on Tobagonians. They would have been the main contractors, building the roads, doing development in Tobago, because that is how you build an economy. That's how you use the resources to strengthen your commitment to the ideals that you have placed before them.
Hold on, Mr. Duke. Hold on, Mr. Duke. I mean, you're hitting on a very, very important point there. One would in order for that to even become a reality, to actually take place, you would have to have a list of the projects that you want done, things that you want done.
Of course.
I'm not looking for any sort of kinks in the armor of the chief secretary or any of his members. I think we've passed that now. There has to be some sense of maturity. It has to be beneficial to the people and for the people. My thing is then, you should have had a list. There should have been a list. And you're correct. With that 300 million, you send a message that, listen, the money is for the people of Tobago.
That's right.
Tobago has needs. Tobago needs to be taken care of. Then we are going to deal with Tobago. It's not a matter of just having people outline to you, this has to be spent, that has to be spent, and compounded with the fact, I'm telling you what it has to be spent for.
And let me tell you how I would have spent that money. I've told it to my colleague before I even exited. Even while running campaign through, I told Tobago how we would spend that money. So you have $300 million for development budget. Half of that money, $150 million, would have been spread between the 15 electoral districts, giving each electoral district $10 million each. That is what we call a community budget. That money is basically to use by the community under particular strict principles and policies to do developmental work, self-help works, and to ensure that when the year comes, each community would have been developed equally and balancedly. Because the idea that at the end of the day, there should be no country and tongue in Tobago. Tobago should be one developed place like Monaco, just like Singapore. Make the place urban enough that everywhere you can have facilities that are linked with a developed nation. All right?
Right.
So that 150 was going towards the 15 districts with 10 million going to each district. The next 150, we would have used that to pay some of the money, would have gone to paying contractors, part of the money. But next step would have gone towards building roads that are strategic to agriculture and housing development. Yeah?
Right.
That to me is quite important because you have to open new roads to allow people to have access to land, to one, to farm, and two, for agriculture purposes. But paving a road that doesn't allow you to access to any additional farmlands or any additional access to build houses is a waste of time. And the roads that they have opened up or the roads that they have paved have not allowed that.
And so what we're looking at here, basically, going back to your initial point, is that extra that has been allocated, of course, outside, beyond the budgetary allocation to the THA, is what, let's put it where it needs to be put, is what the PNM is going to use to serve the people of Tobago. And what was given to the THA is basically for just reoccurring expenditure.
Precisely. So now we're going to come down to election day, a shouting match. Look at what we have to do. We have done this for you, the PNM. And they will say, Michael will say, this is what we have done with the money. We have not been able to use the money wisely because they never give us enough. But I'm saying use what you have to people that are able to use the money wisely and let them back you up to get more. For instance, I would spend all that money with 6 months in 6 months. All that money was spent in 6 months, and I would fight them for more. That's what I would have done. I would have had all of Tobago on my side and fight them for more money so we could do more development works. Once the people of a country are behind you, nobody could stop you. All right?
I agree. I know you've got a lot to do, and of course I want to just get straight to the other questions. My good comrade, tell me, at this point in time where people are still counting you out, should you be taken lightly?
Of course not, of course not. And let me say this to you for a matter of fact, that there are only two parties in Tobago. One is the PNM and the other is the PTP. That thing they call Q-tip, right, or QTP or PT, whatever you want to call it, that is not registered. It is not. You could search your books of the election boundaries. There's nowhere there. It's all fraudulent. It's all set up. And when we search, there's nothing at all whatsoever. So that is not even something worthy of mentioning. That is a fraudulent business. All right. I don't know when and if it will ever become. Because if today someone go and register something else with that same name, they have it. So I don't know what they're talking about, saying that they have party and party and party. There's no such thing as that on the books of EBC. And to be a party, you have to register there.
All right. Any closing comments? Go right ahead.
Well, I think in the next few months, into next year, it's going to be quite exciting stuff because we are going to launch. And when we launch, it's going to be very, very exciting stuff. I say fireworks stuff. Fireworks stuff. Yeah?
All right. Want to thank you so much. We'll be checking in with you periodically. And again, best of luck to you and your entire team. And keep the fight going. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Nice, lovely.
All right.